Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Time to take that walk and go see what's in the fridge today. Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Today's beer comes from Frost Beer Works. They're up in Vermont. This is their coffee porter, not a big beer, coming in at it says 6.5% here. It says 6% on the can here, guys. Does have a canned on date on the bottom of it. This is sent to me by Greg, and he writes, coffee porter from Frost Beer Works, a decent coffee porter for one of the more popular breweries in northern Vermont. This one came from a craft beer store up there, he wrote. So he bought it at a craft beer store, not at the brewery. And like I said, Beer Advocate has it at 6.5 and the can says 6%. So I believe the can rather than what Beer Advocate is saying. Evidently they've done several different batches of this. And this particular one is 6.0, not 6.5. I have 6% on Untapped. I have 25 IBUs listed here on Untapped. So it seems to me that they have the correct information. Their commercial description says a robust porter with roast character from dark malt and Frost Beer Works coffee beans. Beans imported by our friends at Hacienda La Minenta and roasted in-house. Complement a grain bill incorporating coffee malt to create a multi-layer experience. Guys, I usually don't buy 6% porters or stouts, but this was sent to me by Greg, my brother. I do appreciate him picking this up and sending it to me. Final beer of the evening. I usually wind up with a lot bigger beer than a 6%er, but it is what it is. So let's get on with this. We've got ABV at 6%, 25 IBUs. Canned on date is on the bottom of it, and it says here 06-1. Is it a 10 or an 18? I can't tell. Maybe a 10 or an 18 of 2018. So we're barely over a month old. Today is the 20th of July. So about 5 weeks old on this beer. Big 16-ounce can. It is what it is. We're going to wrap the evening up with this. So once again, Greg, thanks a bunch. I do appreciate it, sir. That's it. So let's pop a top on this thing and see what we got. And into the glass we go. And it's pretty dark coming out. And I will tell you, while I am pouring this, food pairing says cuisine is barbecue, cheesy, butter, brie, Gouda, Havarti, Swiss, general chocolate, dessert. Meat is smoked meat and grilled meat. Glassware, a pint, Bacardi, tumbler, Stein Seidel. I'm using my favorite tulip glass today, guys, and not recommended for extended cellaring. Didn't quite, well, I probably can though. So let me go ahead and just dump it all in here on that pour. Nice dark color. Not seeing a lot of light though. It might be just a slight hint of some red rubbiness around the thin part of the glass here, guys. Didn't pour a very big head, about 1/8 of an inch. Pretty dark beer. Let's get it to the nose. Rich roasted malt, hence coffee. Maybe a little bit of black molasses. It's right out of the fridge, so I'm not getting a lot of dark fruit on the nose. Smells pretty good. I'm definitely getting the roasted malt in the coffee. Well, let's dive in and see what we got. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Greg. Decent beer, a little thin, a little watery for 6%. That's very common for that low of an ABV beer. Tastes like a coffee porter, guys. No doubt. 6%, whether it's a porter or a stout. Usually a little thin, a little watery for that low of an ABV. It's not like you're drinking a 10 or plus bigger beer where it's got a little thicker mouthfeel, a little chewiness to it. This one does not. Might be a nice breakfast beer. If you're on the weekend and not have to go to work, I wouldn't drink this and try to go to work. Decent beer so far. Probably not something that I would purchase for myself. I like the bigger beers. I usually don't buy any beers, period, whatsoever, no matter what the style is, unless they're 7% or bigger. And some people have said, oh, you're an alcoholic. Well, what the ever. If that's what you think, so be it. I usually only have 2 or 3 beers a day. Sometimes I don't even have that. Yesterday I didn't drink any beers at all. So, whatever your opinion is, I appreciate everybody watching. So, the haters are going to hate, and the people that love me are going to love me. So, that being said, guys, this is right out of the fridge, 40 degrees. We're going to sip on it for a little bit, let her taste it. Might fire up a stogie to go with this while I'm finishing it off. And we'll come back and see where this ends up. So, decent beer right now. I mean, I don't degrade it because it's only a 6%. Some people like that style because you can drink multiples of it and not be too inebriated. So it is what it is. It depends on what you're after, what you like to drink. Beer tastes are very subjective. If you don't like those big, boozy, bigger beers, this may be one of them you might want to consider. So let me sip on it. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Been sipping on it for a little while now. Decent beer. It's not blowing my hair back or my socks off or anything like that. I don't buy a lot of these 6% beers. Might be a good breakfast beer if you like coffee and you're drinking it on the weekend, not have to go to work. Probably not something that I would buy. A little too thin, a little too watery. I am getting some nice roasted malt and a little bit of coffee notes in there, but it's not intense or anything like that. If you're expecting the off-the-chain coffee like a Sumatra coffee or an espresso coffee, it's not there. It's not there. But I do appreciate Greg picking this up and sending it to me to try. Greg, I probably would not buy this beer. Doesn't have enough mouthfeel. It doesn't have enough coffee notes. Very subdued. If you want to get into a darker beer, something with a little coffee in it, that's not going to be too intense, this may be a good transitional beer for that. Had a lot better beers than this, especially in the coffee range, especially in the porter or imperial porters. These lower ABV porters and stouts of 6.5% or 5% seem to be a little thin, a little watery, and that's very common characteristics of these low ABV darker beers. So I did enjoy it. I'm glad I got to try it. Just not blowing my hair back or my socks off, like I said, guys. Final chug. Nice roasted malt. Nice hint of some coffee in there. No dark fruit. Maybe a little bit of some licorice in there or black molasses. But that's about it. Very thin, very subdued. A very easy drinking beer, if you will. So, like I said, probably not something that I would purchase for myself. But glad I got to try it. So, thanks again, Greg, my brother. I do appreciate you spending your hard-earned money on this and sending it to me to try, but did not blow me away on this. And usually these lower ABV beers do not. They are kind of thin and watery. So, with that being said, to me, guys, I'm going to give it a B+. It does have the ABV on it. It does have the date on the bottom of the can, so the two characteristics or information, if you will, of what we want to purchase a beer like this. And if you're just getting into the darker beers, this would probably be a great transitional beer to give it a try, especially if you like coffee. So, with that being said, like I said, it is a B beer to me. I'm going to give it to B plus because it does have the ABV on the can, and it does have the date on the bottom of the can. So, that's the 2 bits of information on this solid beer that we want to see. And with that being said, I'm going to give this, I'm going to give it 86. That's where I'm going to put this beer. B plus, but just barely into the B plus range. And over to Beer Advocate, those guys seem to be fairly impressed. I give it a 4.13. That's into their A category. I am not going there. If you've never had a dark beer, this may be something you'd want to try, and it may deserve that grade. I may be giving it a little lower grade than I probably should have for what it is. But my palate and my taste like something just a tad heavier with a little thicker mouthfeel than what I'm getting from this. So I don't buy a lot of these lower ABV porters or stouts. They just don't have that mouthfeel that I'm looking for. So let's jump over to Untapped, and Untapped has it at 3.89, which is also in their B plus range, not at the top, but decent beer, guys. It's definitely something you might want to try if you've not had a dark beer like this before. This is not something that's going to blow your palate out of your mouth, be too boozy. A great introductory coffee porter. So that's where I'm going to leave it, and it was very enjoyable. Not something that I usually drink for a final beer of the evening, not something that I usually would buy for myself, but glad I got to try it. So once again, Greg, thanks again. I do appreciate it, my brother. And I'll give you all the grades. So if you've had this one from Frost Beer Works, this is their coffee porter, a very sessionable coffee porter, if you will. So if you've had it, let me know what you think, guys. Until we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge.